Hannah Kaufman. I'm the Undersecretary General of Public Relations for the 4th Florida Crisis Simulation. And with me is Rebecca Birkholz, who is the Director of the Future of Islam. So Becca, your committee is really unique from my understanding. If you could give us a little more background on kind of where your idea came from and how you're going to set up the committee.
Yeah, so for me, I am an international studies major with a focus in the Middle East, and I really got this from taking classes about the area as well as the religion that dominates the area, which is Islam. And for me, understanding how politics ties into that religion historically as well as in the modern era is really intriguing. And as far as the setup for the committee goes, I think it really became a kind of a hybrid between my own idea and one of our also one of our delegates here at UF, and it was the idea of taking the different Muslim Brotherhoods that have kind of formed throughout history in various countries throughout the Middle East and the Arab Peninsula, and those might not be known as Muslim Brotherhoods. Some, like Hamas, for instance, isn't titled itself as a Muslim Brotherhood, but it has its findings and its tenets in the same ideas as Egypt's movement. Right. So for me, taking leaders from each of those movements that are either, could be past warlords, could be very recent, to the political scene, so vastly different backgrounds. So I'm really interested to see how all that, plays out.
Okay, very cool. On Friday, when committee will start, what's the starting point for this committee? Like, what can delegates expect? They're going to walk in the room, they have their position, and you're going to start where?
Well, for us, we start with the release of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood's leader. Okay. So he's currently imprisoned as of today in real time. So we are going to act as if he has just been released from prison, and we're going to jump right off from that. Because for the most part, the movement's leadership is really centered in Egypt, right, even though obviously we have a lot of power in other regions as well. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic as the branches have spread and created their own units kind of throughout region and throughout countries. It's going to be an interesting dynamic between the Egyptian leadership and the other countries that have now created their own policy and their own ideology. So.
Right. Okay, very cool. So what element of this crisis are you most looking forward to? You have a lot of moving parts here, especially with the positions you have and all the various political groups. What are you really looking forward to in your crisis arch?
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking forward to the fact that it's gonna have to come either at a very moderate point or a very less than moderate point. As I mentioned, with delegates having different backgrounds, or I guess our positions having very different backgrounds, there's a whole slew of end results that this committee could end up with. Right. So you have a very political driven side to the Muslim Brotherhood in many countries, but you also have this militant past that they're kind of trying to distance themselves from in recent years. Right. So I think what I'm really interested to see is how the delegates decide themselves where their characters would push this committee. This is a backroom convening. This isn't, a publicized summit or something of that kind. So they could take it to a very dark place, you could say, but I'm really,
very extreme place.
Yeah, very extreme result could occur, but I think with the variety we have in the room, I really think there's going to be a lot of great debate over the future of not only the Muslim Brotherhood and that movement, but how that's going to influence this gigantic religion that encompasses the world. So.
Absolutely. So this is your first time directing a crisis, right? So as a first-time crisis director, but a very experienced delegate with the club, what are you looking for in your ideal crisis delegate? What are you really hoping that your crisis delegates bring to the table?
So I'm really looking for a delegate who has a background at least a little bit beyond what I've posted on the website. So something that gives them context for the region, for other conflicts in the area that go beyond what the Muslim Brotherhood might have on their website, which does exist for every country. They have very good PR system. Right. So going beyond what that looks like and seeing not only what their goals are as a movement and or a political party depending in the country, but also understanding the Israeli conflict and how the Muslim Brotherhood has had a historic hand in the Arab narrative, things like that. So understanding situations that could be involved with or involve the Muslim Brotherhood. So not just being narrow, I think, because I really want this to be a kind of all-encompassing, comprehensive,
like a very
committee.
dynamic committee.
Yeah,
I feel.
for sure. Yeah.
Great. Well, just as like a fun final question, I know you're a big House of Cards watcher, like a lot of us in the club are. So if you could be any House of Cards character, who would you be and why?
So I would definitely be Zoe.
I feel that.
I know
Yeah.
she's not a fan favorite for everybody.
I like her,
but yeah,
but, you know,
yeah,
no, I get that.
She has a lot of grit, and she does what it takes to get to the top, which
Yeah.
you can respect to a degree. Obviously, there's some shady things. No spoilers, but there's some
Yeah.
shady things that go down throughout the
Right.
first and the second season. But it's really interesting to see how she kind of grows as a character. So I
Right.
think it's cool to see that like female empowerment kind of aspect
Sure.
to her role.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Becca. Guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like us on Facebook at the 4th Florida Crisis Simulation, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FLCS_UF. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Becca.